And I got too much time invested to walk away from it. I got like 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
But what I wanted to do real quick is see if you could take a look at a house. There's one that I drive by on a daily basis. It's been abandoned for almost 2 years that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's it's an older house. From the way it looks on the outside, it would be a full teardown or a complete, remodel on the inside. The outside's kind of rough, also.
Mm-hmm.
And then, especially compared to the one that was actually built, I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it's a new construction. So that one's kind of just sitting right next to it. There's a boat in the yard, and it's been there for, like I said, almost 2 years. I drive by it every day, see it still sitting there. Nothing's been done with it. So,
All right, yeah. If you wanted, you could share the address with me. I could put that in and then kind of look at the extra details because I'm assuming if it's overgrown grass built in the yard, like there might be the county might have some type of liens on the property, but yeah,
yeah.
we're gonna have to obviously try to skip trace it and try to see who actually owns that. Could maybe the person who owned it died, and then maybe there's heirs, and then you would have to probably contact one of the heirs and see what what their situation is. But yeah, what's the address?
It's 5031
Mm-hmm.
Indian River Road.
Yep. And
It's
Virginia.
Virginia Beach. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Let's see if there's a street view. Oh, there's not a street view. Huh.
So on PropWire, you can find a street view.
Okay. I could use prop stream too. So I'll just do that right quick.
Okay.
All right. So I will pull it up here. It says someone named Annie Mae Lamb owns this. Personally, I'm not seeing any liens on it. It says zero for liens. But yeah, it's the same house. But I will drop the little purse in there. Let me see. Okay, so it's on a main road here, is what I'm assuming, right?
It is, yeah. That's
Okay.
the downside to it.
Yeah.
But somebody
Still,
did build new construction next to it.
yeah. So here, I see that boat you're talking about here.
Yep.
All right, yeah, let's look a little rundown. Based off, I don't know what again to see in guys too, like when you're looking like because obviously this is from Google Maps, but if you actually want to see like when Google Maps passed through here, like so you could kind of get an idea, like a date, you would have to go on googlemaps.com and then put in the address, and then you'll see like oh, it passed through July 2022. So like this is from, but anyway, we can't see that because we're on a prop stream. But anyway, but yeah, need some work, and then I guess is it the one that's here that's kind of like newer, right?
Yep, that's it right there.
Okay, gotcha.
I think that might have been, if I'm not mistaken, I think that might be 10 years old.
Okay.
But still fairly new compared to what's next to it.
Yeah. I'm trying to. All right, so this is the house here. I don't know why it's like section. I wonder if it's like that's odd because there's a this is separate from this. I would think this is all the same, but it's not. But anyway, 4 would be 5027 Indian River Road, and that was all right. So it was built in 2009. That's when that home was built. So they paid
Okay.
$250 for it in 2009, and same owners. You can see they bought it. They bought the lot for 50 grand, I guess, off of Peter, and then this Woodale LLC. They I don't know how much money they spent on it, but ended up selling it, 3 years later for 251. But all right, so let's see. For someone who needs to, first thing we got to do is try to see if we could find the owner's number. So let's see if we could go to like Cheap People Search. You could put in the address here, and then I would put in let's see 5031, right? I'll have to put in Annie Lamb is her name. Hopefully, I mean, there's another address for her. So let's say if, like what I usually do, guys, like when I'm pulling numbers and let's say I don't, there's 6 numbers and all 6 numbers don't work. We have a mailing address. So like if you're not, if you're up to it, you could always send a mailer to this address in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, or you could go there in person. Depends how
Yeah.
far you are. But anyway, um, let's try. I messed up here. Let's try seeing if we could find a number to at least reach out to and get in contact with the owner. All right, so we see here that it looks like Annie passed away in 2011, age 88.
Okay.
So, and that's because again, when we're looking at PropStream, we see Annie Mae. So M is in May. So Annie Mae Lamb passed away in 2011. It says here. So that's probably why it's like the way, like the like this. And she also has another, I guess, address. Let me see how much she has, like how many link properties, because you could see that on PropStream. I'm not sure if you could see that on PropWire, but link properties, okay, it's only the 2. So it's the one in Norfolk and the one that in Virginia Beach that we're looking at currently. And also too, so you could, like, when you're going on True People Search, you can look at, like, so we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, so we have 5 numbers to choose from, most likely I feel like none of them would probably work because she passed.
Yeah.
But you could always look to see thus like possible associates. So possible relatives here. So we have a Bob, we have a Donna, we have a Francis. So you could always try clicking on, their information to see if you have any numbers associated with that. Maybe Bob's her husband. Maybe Bob's still living, maybe not. I don't know. We have 2 numbers for Bob here. And then, but yeah, I mean, that's dealing with someone who's passed. It's kind of like you have to kind of be like a little bit of a detective and try to find, who's associated with who. You could do that in PropStream. When you skip, you don't really have that luxury to see like that. But True People Search, I like looking at that because you could see emails, you could see possible relatives or possible associates and things of that nature. So that's why I like True People Search. And then we also have another address too. We have this one on Davis Street, so I could click on that and then type in Annie Lamb and see if there's any, maybe the numbers are different there. But that's what I would do. So what your question is, like, what was your question exactly? I'm sorry.
So really the biggest thing is, how would we comp that?
Okay. I'll do that
And
real
then,
quick.
comp it, find out ABR. And obviously, we wouldn't be able to get a full ABR on until, the house was looked at to see if it's going to be a full gut or a full tear down.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's let me see. For me comping this home out, obviously we got to be a little bit less on what you can make on it because we're on a main road.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would look to see anything under 1750 square feet. I don't think you need to build. Again, I don't know when when Google Maps passed through that area. So to me, it looks like you could still save the house. You don't have to do you don't have to do a whole new construction. But I would want to look at anything that's 3 or more bedrooms. So I have 3 plus. Look at something that's under 1750 square feet in the past 12 months. Hit apply, and let's see what we're working with here. It's going to be probably a little bit difficult to comp because right here across the street looks like all townhomes. So there's really,
Yep.
It's in like an awkward spot.
So down the street from those, in the opposite direction of the house that it's next to. So if you're looking at it from the street down to the right, maybe
Okay.
within a quarter of a mile, maybe half a mile, there's 2 new houses over there that may not be any older than the one that's next to it.
Okay.
So I guess those 2 would be the only close comps because it's actually on the main road right there. You pass those 2 and then you come up to the curb and that's where the abandoned house is.
Gotcha. And we have to try to see if we could find something that is just 1 story. Because I think that house is only 1 level, right? It's not 2 stories.
Yeah, it's 1 level.
Okay, so we gotta try to see if we could find something that's one level. I mean, this one is a two story, you know, another 2 story. So it might be a little difficult to see. But I'm thinking, I mean, I would
Yeah,
be
see
it
that?
would be high twos. But I mean, let me try to get a solid number here. Because really, it's like it's in a weird spot.
Yep.
All right, so here's one. I mean, where's that's all the way over here. So 368 for all the way down here. So we can't really use that. But that was a 1 story home. This one is also a 1 story home. It's 351. Maybe it might be above three. I mean, let me see. Let me see when these were built. 350 here, 1520 square feet, 1981. We were built in what 57, I believe. So you always want to try to find something that at least, like, you know, try not to go over 10 years apart. Um, when you're running comps. But let me see if I could. I could put a good go on the more tab, and then just obviously I'll probably just maybe don't want to see anything built, let's say past 1980, and let's kind of limit ourselves here. Okay, so there's a 1 story here, 320. So that's it was only 10,000, or sorry, 1,000 square feet. This was looks like it was remodeled based on these photos here. Can't really see, there's no history, but you know, it looks like a little bit newer, I would say, maybe not. But I mean, I would looks like could be above 3. Is what I'm thinking. I just don't know where exactly. So let's say, you know, 310, 315. We do have, I mean, it has to be low threes. I don't think 315 might be a stretch, but I mean, we have also too, like maybe like if we need a second bathroom to definitely up the ARV. One bathroom is going to limit us for what the potential, but I mean, it should have enough. Hold on 1 second. I'm having one of my sellers is calling me.
Okay.
Hey Rodney, how you doing? Hello? Rodney, can you hear me? All right, called. I don't know if he pocket dialed. He's a little bit older. But I don't know if he. Let me just try calling him back. He might have just pocket dialed me, but you never know. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Rodney, you called?
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Question. Fix to pay the tax on, fix to pay the property tax on 26. Does that make a difference?
They would just prorate if anything.
What should I wait?
Yeah, it's just wait. If you're just wait. I mean, you'll be if you're paying it on the 26th. We're closing on the 22nd, so they'll be fine. They'll just take it out of the your net when it's all said and done at the settlement. I mean, if you want to pay it now, you can, and then they'll just again, just divert, just prorate everything. But I mean, it's up to you. I mean, but honestly, I think you probably should just wait. If we're gonna be closing 4 days before that,
Yeah. All right, I'll wait.
Okay. And
Find out.
yeah. And then you'll see it too, because I mean, I sent everything over to the title company yesterday, so they're gonna be working on the HUD settlement. So you'll see they'll probably, I would say, like a week before, like 7 to 10 days before we close, you'll see the whole layout and what's going to you exactly, how much money you're netting after it's all said and done. So if you have any questions prior to the 22nd, then you'll just you could call up Boss Law and you'll sit and they could answer anything for you. And I one more time.
What am I paying?
Oh, I'm just like again, just there'd just be the taxes pretty much. That would be the only thing that would come out of the settlement. Everything else you already paid. There's no mortgage. There's no, to my knowledge, you said there's no mortgage. There's no liens on the home. So that's pretty much it. The only thing that would come out is just the property taxes, and then everything else is net. Everything else will be net to you.
I'll just bring the things, everything, see it.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay. Alrighty. Yeah. And then if you call, yeah, and if you have any questions that maybe I can't answer, you could always call them yourself. Obviously they have everything that they need, email or, and phone number to reach out to you, but they probably won't until I would say until next week, since they just got everything yesterday.
And I'll send it over to the attorney.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, you have a good rest of your day. Okay.
You bet, you too. See
Yep.
ya.
Bye. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So I would say like 315, but again, this means nothing if we can't even get in contact with who we need to get in contact. So let's say for safe side, we just run it at we'll do a $300,000 ARV. We'll do like a 0.75, so a 25% return. That's usually what most investors like to hear, or like to receive when it's all said and done. That brings us to a 225 number. And then let's say this home, probably based off of, we don't really have anything other than this street view to really see, but let's say a home this size, if you're doing everything from top to bottom, roof, flooring, kitchen, bath, maybe siding, you're going to be looking at probably, I would say 70. I would say about 70,000.
Yeah.
So minus 70,000, yeah, like 155, and then making a fee for yourself. So you probably have to be around like 140, 150 for asking price on this home. But again, we got to try to see if we could get in contact with who we need to get in contact with. So
Yeah.
you could always put like a thing on the door. You knock on the door, see if anyone's in there. Maybe there might be, but you could always try the numbers that are listed, because sometimes those numbers, like let's say that's this 703 number, that's the house phone for what was her name, Ann, right? Or Ann or Annie, I can't remember. Or for Annie. So maybe her and her husband Bob probably shared that house thing. So maybe if she passed in 2011, maybe he is still alive, and he'll answer, and then you could say hi, I was just looking to speak to one of the heirs of Annie Lamb, and maybe it'll be like, oh, this is her husband, or this was her blah blah, whatever you might have to do. But yeah, the only thing you can really do is skip trace and try to see. There's another address here. I don't know if this is close to that. I really don't know. I don't know Virginia like that. That's about it. But I would say around 140 is probably what the house is worth.
So 140K fixed up?
140,000 would be an offer price to them, and then fixed up would probably be worth 300,000.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
and then,
yep.
Based on that, what do you think a reasonable assignment would be on that?
Like 5 or 10. If you want to, I think no one really is going to pay over 150 for the home. I could be wrong, but I don't think reselling it would go I based it off a $300,000 ARV, so that's probably the most that you can make. Not many true comps out there. Everything else was pretty much across the street, as we saw. We're on this main road here. Everything else I put anything over 3 bedrooms under 1,750 square feet, with being built no more, not being built past 1980. And this is what came up. So we have stuff you see stuff at 1970, or sorry, 278,000. I would say, that's kind of dated still, because it doesn't look fixed up. This one is just smaller. This one was fixed up and it sold at 390, or 290. I'm sorry. So I think we have 500 square feet more. We don't have another bathroom, but you could probably add another bathroom to make it more desirable. But here's another 3.2, looks pretty new. That sold for 310. We're on a main road, so this was like a flip. You could see it here. This was a flip from looks like it. Flooring, kitchen looks good, bathroom looks good. You could always there's There's no sale history. Hey, wait, is Virginia a non-disclosure state? Maybe that's why. I don't know if it is or not. Or no, it's
I'm not sure.
no, it's not because if it
It's
wasn't,
not.
yeah, if it wasn't a non-disclosure state, or if it was a non-disclosure state, we wouldn't see 310, we wouldn't see 297. But I don't know why there's no pricing history to see like what the person paid for, because I want to see what they. All right, so. All right, so they bought this house. So you can see here's the flipper here. House Buyers of America Inc. So they bought it for 224 off of Michael in April of this year, and then they sold it. They did that flip pretty fast. They sold it like a little over a month later, 531. See it here, to Amber and let's see, Amber and Gordon Johnson. So I mean, I don't know how much work they put in, but I mean, 224 buy price and then reselling at 310. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I always like looking at data stuff like PropStream because you could easily see like if you you could try to contact. I would if you know the name who flipped it. You could always reach out to the agent. The agent who listed this home was Anna. You could always call Anna, like, hey Anna, you recently sold a home on over in Virginia Beach on McNean Circle. I don't know if that's how she most of the time she'll remember it. This transaction was probably like 4 months ago, so she'll be like, oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
And then she'll like, do you think this flipper might be interested in another project? It's right off of Indian River Road. It's right on Indian River Road. It's like, oh yeah, they might, and that's a good way to find a buyer right there. But yeah, I mean, I think one like 140, 150 would be a good price to offer the seller if you're able to get in contact with them, and then maybe selling it for like between 5 or 10,000 to a flipper.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'll look into that, see what I can find out. Appreciate it.
Yep, sounds good. And then also, I don't know if you guys heard that call that I had. That was from one of my sellers. His name is Rodney. He's like a little older. I don't know how old he is, but anyway, he's a kind of pretty much a tired landlord. So I was on my way to a park like a month or maybe 2 months ago, and I saw this house. So like I'll put it in basically how you presented this house to me. So it was like kind of beat up a little bit. Needed some love, but so I was just passing by, and I saw this, and it looks pretty much exactly like this. I mean, kind of dated. I was luckily, he didn't pass or anything like that. So like I called that first number that was listed, and once I skipped it, I found out the situation. He's like, oh yeah, there's a tenant in there. She'll be out in November. Blah blah blah. I don't know why. Okay, here it is. Yeah, so it looked like this. I mean, pretty much nothing's changed. But yeah, I was just on this road here, and I saw this, pinned it, and called him, and then he said that she'll be out in November. And fast forward to now, and then she's out. Went to go see the house. My buyer liked what he saw. So I was able to get the deal for him. I have this property for $200,000. I tried to get it. He originally started at 250, maybe a little bit higher than 250. Then he was like, all right, 225, and then then he dropped to 200,000. Try to get him a little bit lower, but he's like, you're killing me, Terrell. But still, able to make it happen. And then I have a buyer at 210. So everything I sent over the property. So like when you find when you have a deal with a seller and you find a buyer for the deal, you would have to send the front end agreement. The front end agreement is between you and I could pull it up here. The front end agreement is between you and the seller. So like the front end agreement would be this. So I mean, I use the FAR bar, which is like a Florida. This is what an agent would use if they were to draft up an agreement between a buyer and a seller. But here's my information here, TSPD Investments, and then here's his name here. He has the property in a trust, Rodney Moore. 200,000. 2,000 for EMD. I put on here like 5 days just to give me time if let's say to find a buyer. I already had a buyer lined up essentially, but just you never know. That buyer could, say like, oh, like, it's not like I thought it would be in less worse of a condition, blah, blah, blah. So he ends up going, so you might need to find somebody else. But closing on the 22nd, I have my signature here and you have to sign like every page and then all that kind of stuff. So there's that's the front end agreement. The front end agreement again, guys, is between me and the seller. The second half agreement, the back end, is between me and the flipper, the end buyer. So here's my thing with here's my name and here's the flipper's name. All Over Solutions, and his name is John. And here's my name. So you could see that there. So you would have to send both those agreements again when you're dealing with an off-market property, because again, guys, this is not listed anywhere. This home is, as it says here, it's off-market, not listed anywhere. It's always a good deal to find stuff off-market. And again, it was nice too because it was another driving for dollars thing. Because I wasn't actually going to, I wasn't going around like looking at homes. It just caught my eye when I was driving. So like I have that. Like, it's not the first time this has happened to me, but it was just a nice to see like the from talking to him 2 months ago to now like a deal. It's a fast turnaround. But anyway, but that's when you're dealing with an off market, you have to present this to the title company. If you're dealing with anything on market, the listing agent would just present this, and then you would be, if you're assigning the deal to a end buyer, then you would have to worry about, the only thing you would have to send them is just the assignment, which is this. But since I'm doing pretty much everything, I have to send both agreements, which I did, and over to their name is Boss Law. They're like right down the road from me, about 10 minutes away. Thank you for the much of the contract. Also just been ordered. They'll reach out to me if they have any other questions, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, so they have everything. So right now, the only thing I really got to make sure is that my buyer, John, who is from is LLC, All Over Solutions, I have to make sure that he sends that $2,000, right here, because that's what I put on the agreement, which he should have done this morning. I would have to just call him and just double check, because then I would want to forward over. What I like to do is obviously so to know that I'm not lying to the sellers, like, hey, look, I'm actually going through with the property, blah blah blah. Like, here's the receipt for the $2,000. So that's what I would have to do. But he said he should send it this morning, so I mean, I would have to just call and make sure. Any questions regarding that, guys? I don't know if anyone has any questions, but yeah, pretty. I mean, again, you could. It was. I was lucky, I guess. He's owned that property since, I would say, the 80s, possibly. It could be wrong, but it's been a while. And then the same tenant's been there for. Same tenant's been in the property for 27 years. I don't know how much she was paying. I didn't ask because she was going to be vacating regardless. But I mean, I'm assuming maybe she was only paying like $600. I don't know, nothing crazy. But yeah, let me I guess while I'm on talking to you guys, let me just call John and be like, and ask if he sent the money, because I just want to make sure, and then I could just forward that email to the email receipt for the 2,000 over to Rodney, so then he knows that I'm good. But yeah, I mean, he was one of the guys that just was like kind of like, oh, here he is.
Hello.
Hey John, did you I was just checking to see if you sent the money over to Boss Law.
Yes, they'll send a receipt right away. So they should have it anytime now. It was done this morning.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't call them. I just called you first. But yeah, I'll reach out to them so they could make sure that Rodney has a. Yep, later. Yeah, so he sent the money over. If I call Boss Law, I could just get the receipt sent to me, and then they could just send the receipt over to Rodney to show that it's there. But yeah, any questions, guys?
Hi, Terrell. Yeah, I have a two-parter, but it's regarding some seller financing stuff.
Yeah.
I'm having difficulty figuring out these numbers, and I've watched Eric's videos like morning, noon, and night.
Uh-huh.
So when I'm coming up and I'm trying to get I have the ARV, I have all that stuff for the cash offer, but trying to present seller financing,
Mhm.
um, is what am I looking at more as far as what the down payment would be, what the monthly payment would be, or what the buyer entry fee would be? Like, because I'm running a bunch of numbers, and it's not coming out, where people want it. Like, you want your buyer entry fee, not to exceed what, like 13%, something like that.
Yeah. So like I try to look at like what can because it's all like a calculation, like a mathematical calculation. So like first thing I look at, like it depends if you want the deal for yourself or if you're just sending the deal out to a to try to find a buyer. But like either way, like I look at what the property could rent out for. Let's say this home I guess we'll bring it. We'll use this as an example. I mean, I know since I ran my numbers, like a home. Let's say it was like maybe I should probably go to a different home because it's not like really. Let's go to this home here across the street, right here. So let's say I'm assuming this home is probably like a 3-2, probably 1,600 square feet, maybe worth about 350 currently, maybe a little bit more than 350. What is it, 80, 68? Let me just actually put that in there so make it easier. But I look at to see what you could rent it out for. So I look at that first,
Okay.
80, 68. Sorry, I just want to pull up the address, 26th Avenue. Most likely it's a three. Oh, it's a 3-3, 1,900 square feet. Oh, worth a little bit more. Okay. Oh yeah, it is new construction. All right. This was probably built in 2016, I think. 2017. Okay. Um, all right, so yeah, so we're looking at, we got to pay attention to what you could rent it out for. So like usually I would open up another tab, look to see what the rents are going for in that kind of area. Let's say rents are going for 3,400, right? I didn't really look, but let's say it's going for 3,400. I got to make sure that also too, another thing, like what is it currently, like what's the property currently worth? Like, it's already kind of fixed up, it's built in 2017, not really dated. But I mean, this is saying Zestment's saying 700 and change. I don't think it's that high. But again, I didn't run my numbers. But anyway, so yeah, we want to try to figure out what the rent is. You want to try to figure out like where you're going to be paying them monthly because you got to factor in. You got to anyone's going to be taking care of the taxes and the insurance. Oh, I clicked out. So like, what does that amount to? What's taxes, insurance a month? Because that's going to be added on to what you're paying them each month, or whoever is paying them each month, right? And it has to cash flow as well. So let's say you could only get 3,400 a month for this. You got to make sure that there's at least you're cash flowing at least 500, or if you want to make more, then try to cash flow a little bit more. Let's say if everything, you're paying them $2,000 a month. Let's say taxes and insurance, it comes out to an extra 350. So we'll say it's 2,350, and then you're maybe this is the absolute max, 3,400 a month in rent. Maybe you just should be on the safer side, play it at a 32. So then you're cash flowing at least like a $700 a month. We got to know what the property is currently worth. I don't know. I would have to look at that calculation and see. And then you got to factor in, what the down payment is going to be. Is it going to be like a 10% down off of the property's, value and all that kind of stuff. So then when you're running the calculation, you have to, let's say you're saying 5 years. So you'd have to think, you would have to do 5 times 12, which is 60. Or sorry, yeah, it is 60. Just trying to think here. You have to multiply. All right, so let's say it was 2,350. So 2,350 times 5 is 11,750 times times 12. Sorry, is 141,000, and that would be that again. That's just with you paying them for 5 years. Oh, I messed up. Oh my god. I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry. Hold on. I messed up, Anthony.
No worries. No worries.
2,350 times 5 times 12. Okay, so yeah, 140. Okay, so then you would subtract that. I don't know. Let's say this is only worth 700,000. I really don't think it's that high, but I mean, again, I really don't know. They would have to subtract that off of that, and then you get and so you have to know like after like what's the property after you subtract the 144 and 141 off the 715. Like what you gotta estimate like okay in 5 years, and you gotta add to the down payment because that's But anyway, but that's you gotta find out like okay after 5 years is this would the property be worth let's say 715 minus 141. So in 5 years, is the property going to be worth over 570,000? And I would say yes, but again, I really don't know because I really think this is high, but I could be wrong. I mean, I know there's new construction across the street. We're on 26, so there's this like three or four homes are newer, but it's a nice area. It's not by the water, but yeah. I don't know why it's doing that. So like when you're looking at so your main thing is just trying to find the best numbers to present to the seller, best numbers for like a good entry fee for someone to walk in to the creative deal.
Yeah, because see, I'm coming up what I'm coming up with is after because I'm renting. I found out the house rents for $1,600.
Okay.
At the lowest spot, 2,000 at the highest, and then I'm taking out the insurance, property tax, and I add some the cap expense, 5% for the management fee, nothing for vacancy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm coming out to about $362 a month cash flow, but it's the cash on cash return is only 8.56%.
Oh yeah.
Which it's a $240,000 price. It's 14,000 down, so I'm going to be financing 226 at 0% with a 5-year balloon at 188,000 due at 5 years. But I have a $20,000 rehab, a $14,000 down payment. And so the buyer entry fee is, let me see here.
I mean, because you're gonna want to do the work. So like I want to say what like 40 or 30.
48,800.
Just to go in 48,000,
Yeah.
and then you're in a $240,000 home.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
That's including the rehab, the assignment fee, and estimated closing,
yeah.
which is about 20%.
Yeah. I don't know what. I mean, everything is right. Yes, I agree with you there. I just don't know what could make it a little bit less. It's just, I mean, how much are the taxes and insurance a year?
I just plugged in because it showed on Zillow and Redfin they were showing about 206 to 210, including taxes and insurance. Mm-hmm. But each one I just listed 250 and 200, so 450 total.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if that. I mean, I don't know if I'm if I should take out the management or the capex, the maintenance, the 5%, but.
I never and granted I don't really do too many creative deals out. I mainly focus wholesale, but like I leave that management fee out out of the deal. Like for example, like when I say like for example wholesale, like I don't really put it in like closing costs when he resells it again on the market, you know what I mean? I only I factor in maybe closing costs when you first buy it, but I'm not factoring in the back end, when you closing costs with the agent that you list it with again doing another transaction after the flip. I'm not factoring in that I would only factor in the front end in a sense. So like you could always take that out. So I mean that would drop it to like low like 40s. If you don't include the closing costs, and then also to the managerial, the management cost to run the operation. Because let's say, I mean, if you're a buyer, I mean, it's only one it's like a single family home. It shouldn't be that hard to manage it yourself if you live close by, So
Right.
you could always take that out. That's just an added cost.
So I take out the closing cost then?
You could take sorry, if did you factor it in on the second on the no sorry, keep the closing cost in. I said
Okay.
I confused with the wholesale because that's but keep the closing cost in because that's going to happen regardless because obviously transfer of title. But the managerial cost to run the house, like if they get a property management company or whatever, like take that out. That's irrelevant to this. I mean, you want to do entry just to get in. You don't need to manage. You don't need to manage property management team to get in the property.
Right. Okay.
So, I mean, that again would lower that. That's the only thing I could see right now lowering the cost. Everything else is you got to factor in. You got to factor in taxes. You got to factor in insurance. You got to factor in the closing costs. You got to factor in, the repairs that the home needs to generate. Because right now it's probably livable the way it is. But obviously, if you want to get, that 16 to $2,000 a month in rent, you got to put in, 15, 20 grand into the home. So you got to put that. You got to factor that in. And then obviously I don't know what else I missed. I don't know if I missed anything else, but I mean, you really can't cut anything else other than the property management cost.
Right. So now I'm at cash flow at 442 a month, and my cash on return is about 10.8%. So
Okay. Yeah. So went up 2%, and then you're pocketing at least, I would say, $80 more, right?
yeah,
Okay. I mean, it's still. I mean, if for any mean it for
but the entry fee is still 48.8. So I don't. Does it make sense for a buyer to come in like that?
See, I don't like if I don't really do creative deals, so like I really don't know. Like I would say yes because it's a less you spend $50,000 and you're in a I would say a $280,000 home. So I would say it's worth it if you're going the long strategy, which any person who puts that much money into it and plans to rent it out, I mean, would be okay with. But again, I don't want to speak for those types of buyers, but I think at that entry fee would be okay. But again, I don't know that area, I don't know that market, and I don't really do creative deals to be like, oh yeah, that's really on the low end, because I really don't look at that. I mainly focus on wholesale. So I mean, I've done one creative deal, but Eric helped me out with it, and then I mean, I usually when I try the way I don't really I don't target creatively. I target wholesale wise, and if that doesn't work out, then I work to creative, which the chances of that are kind of low for me because sometimes the sellers aren't really looking to get a monthly, check in the mail. They'd rather just get the lump sum right then and there. So it's kind of hard.
Right.
But I would think it would be okay at those numbers. I just don't see why. I mean, 50K, and you're in almost a $300,000 home. I mean, it's not bad,
Right.
And then you
Because I know Eric always mentions you always want to bring in at least $500 a month, in income when it comes in, and this is at like 442, and that's not,
that's fine. And then I don't know what the interest rate that you have.
0.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then that's I mean, I would say that's fine. I don't see. I mean, obviously they might try to. Okay, we can't do 0. Maybe we'll do 4%. Then I would still think that's fine. If anything less than what's kind of like what the market right now. I don't know what the interest rate is. What 7.2 or whatever.
Right.
But I would say based off everything you just explained to me, you should be good with presenting that to a seller if you haven't already.
Yeah, no, I haven't. So the seller would be getting about 627 each month for 5 years, and at the end of 5 years, they'll be getting 188. So Eric always says, at the end of 5 years, is the house going to be worth 188,000? And I'm thinking, yeah, in 5 years, it's going to be probably twice of that.
Double, yeah. I think you're good. I think you're good. I mean, the next step is just presenting that to to the seller that you're hoping to, I guess win over with that offer. And then
Right.
once you do that, hopefully they like what they see, then obviously, putting your little factor in the assignment fee in there. I don't know, I forget how much you said it was. So
10,000.
okay, so then yeah, so which I think it would be fine. So I mean, go ahead.
And then, okay, so at that point, so then when I do have it under contract and I do go to find a buyer, I just send them the opposite. I send them it's, entry, you just give me this much, 48,000, and that's it? Or like, do I have to ask, should I talk to Eric about that on how to present it to a buyer?
The way how I would present that deal, I'll be like, when I do a text blast, I'll probably put like, creative deal, and blah 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 for entry fee, and you can do like a little breakdown. You don't have to put your assignment fee, in the text blast until if you want to, you can. But I would just say I would say what the percentage is. I would say how much it is a month, like kind of like those type of numbers. But like you do just total your entry fee. It's like this much, and then you get property's market value is currently this, and then because you want to kind of entice them to either text you or call you, and then you could break it down, a little bit more. You don't have to say your assignment fee until the very end if you don't want to. If you want to say it in the beginning, you can. But yeah, it's like, yeah, this is a good home. It's a market rents, blah blah blah. It's like around this range. Home needs about $15,000 to $20,000 in work. And and this is how much the taxes and insurance are. So it's very low entry fee. I would say, $48,000, and you get this, and see what they have to. That's how I would present the deal.
All right, cool on that one. And then now back to a wholesale question. Now, when you get the house under contract and you had the house under contract and you gave the seller like 120, and he was asking like 200,000. So you gave him 120 for it. Now you factor in the rehab cost. Rehab cost is 20,000. So you gave him 120, then you have to rehab it for 20. And then you go sell it. How do you, if you already add your 10,000 that 120 that you got from him, and you go to sell it, are you getting another assignment fee or more money from the buyer that buys it from you?
So if let's say the seller was originally at 200,000 and I dropped him to 120, like that's the contract. If I dropped him to 120 and they accepted, that's my contract price. Anything over that would be my assignment fee. So like if I'm trying to market, let's say I'm trying to do 10,000 as well. So like when I send it out, like I'm sending it out asking 130.
Oh, so you can put on top of that.
Yes. Yeah. You put it on top of because for example, like if I think I have it up still. My contract price with this seller here that I just got on the 6th is 200,000. So that's my contract price with Rodney Moore, right? And so Rodney Moore, and then here's my LLC information. So I'm in 200,000. The $10,000 is with me and John. So it's 200. So total, John will be in it for 210 with my assignment fee here.
So you got an assignment fee from the seller, and then you sold it
from the buyer. The assignment fee is always from the buyer. The seller is just the contract price. Does that make sense?
Right, yeah, but don't you figure your assignment fee in that offer?
Well, in a sense, yes. Yeah, when I do the ARV, let's say for example, the ARV for this home was like 335. I factor in probably between $50,000 to $60,000 in work, and then at like a point, I forget what I did, a 0.75 or whatever, and then like a 510. So like sometimes it's factored in, but you if you want to, I mean, it depends how you work it. I mean, I usually just do it like whatever number I get at the end of that, I try to be lower. For this case, I would have preferred to be at like 195, 190, but I was pretty much stuck at what what I was going to try to get a buyer at 200,000. Luckily, I have a good relationship with John where he was okay paying a little bit more for this one because I mean, this will be like the fourth deal that we've done together. But yes, it's already factored into your it depends. I mean, some people like just they don't add the assignment fee until after. Let's say if I calculate everything and it came out to 200,000 after the ROI return and the repairs, and I get 200,000, then it's okay. They don't do anything else. They'll just add it. Again, they'll add like, okay, I got it for 200,000 with the seller. He agreed to it. I'm going to ask 215. And then that's the yeah. So, but some people calculate it in when they're running the numbers to present the offer. Some people do it that. I just do it the other way.
So you add your assignment fee to the buyer
Yes.
and hoping that you can make that. What if they don't take it? Then I mean, aren't you asked out?
Well, I mean, I would have for example, I would like for this deal, I had 5 days to find somebody. I mean, luckily I was able to find the guy I already knew. He was already telling me that he wanted the deal before I even locked it up. So there's that. But yeah, you might have to try renegotiating with the seller. Because again, you don't really, even if you factor in an assignment fee before you lock it up with the seller, like there's no guarantee you'll move it, unless for example, I already was going to move this deal before I even got an agreement with the seller. Because I sent him the agreement after he saw it. So like I already knew that was going to happen. But like for situations where it's like, you don't have a buyer lined up yet, like it's always a gamble. Even if you factor in the assignment fee or not, because there's no you never know who's going to take what, Right now, one of the Discord people sent me a deal for me to help them move it in Shore Acres, St. Petersburg. So that's an area that got flooded by Milton heavily. So like most homes, got at least like 12 inches of water, right? So like he has the agreement for 360. We were trying to ask 390. If we had, again, there was like a $30,000 assignment fee from 360 to 390. He has the contract at 360. If he had that deal 2 months ago, we could move it all day because the property is currently worth 680 because it has a pool. It's on it's waterfront. But the fact of the matter is, all the homes now in Shore Acres in St. Petersburg are being assessed as land value. No buyer, no one's touching them unless it's assessed at land value. So all the offers I'm getting are pretty much from like 200 to 250. So right now we have to try to renegotiate, even though we factored in a 30K assignment fee. It didn't mean anything because I mean, it was, if it was 2 months ago, then yeah, we could move it, no problem. But the fact of the matter is, every home now, because of the storm, because of FEMA, the property is worth pennies on the dollar. So,
Right.
it's not, it's not worth 390 anymore, even though that would be a great flip if it was 2 months ago. But now, it's worth at land value. So now I'm having offers between 200,000 and 250. If now our game plan is to, okay, we have to try to explain that to the seller, like, hey, look, we got to be at 225 to make this happen, because of X, Y, and Z. Because there's, again, you can factor in whatever assignment fee you want to factor in, but it's at the end of the day, it comes down to what someone wants to pay for it. And right now, the market's speaking, and all the homes right now are selling, I would say, at least under 260.
Gotcha.
Even though they're worth like 500 plus. It's just how it is now. Because again, no one wants to because you got to think about the future. So like anyone who flips it, it might be harder to insure. You got to think about the husband and wife who buys it. They might have to pay a crazy high insurance thing because of it. We got some of the areas FEMA flagged. So now, you have to basically, even though the house, even the house got water and all that kind of stuff, there's a FEMA 50% rule where we're only able to put in 50% of the repairs based on the home's current value. And if you go exceed that 50%, then you have to demo the whole house and then build like at least 2 levels, like 2 stories, where garage on the bottom and then all the living space up top. So things like that are factored in now. So that's the only way people could really look at the deal now, is if it's worth pennies on the dollar. And that's pretty much what land value is going for currently in that neighborhood. It's kind of crazy, but I mean, it's just kind of sucks because I wish, we had that deal like a month before the hurricanes, and now we're in a situation where we're kind of have to, be lower than anything possible, like and Shore
Right.
Acres. And you could look on the map too. I mean, I'll just show you guys for shits and giggles. I mean,
Well, this property that I'm talking to you about is in Hudson. So do you know anything in Hudson that's going on
oh,
there?
Hudson is like like it's north of where I'm at. Like I would say it's about like an hour and a half drive. But yeah, Hudson, it's definitely slower. I mean, you can still move deals out there.
Because I'm
But
talking to 3 agents out there right now, and this is the creative and cash I'm working on right now.
yeah, for Hudson, I mean, I don't know about. I'm assuming because it's right by the water.
Mhm.
So I mean, some homes flooded, some homes didn't. If you go to like, let's say, I'll scroll all the way up to Hudson because you got to go. We're in Tarpon Springs. My computer's being really slow. All right, we're in Port Richey area. All right, Hudson should be right above Port Richey. All right, so yeah, here we are, Hudson. So like any homes on like the left here that flooded for sure. And you could definitely if you could check if you by going on like Zillow here, hitting the map, and then hitting flood, and you can see like the blue. So you can see here. So this is Hudson here. So anything on the left side of 19, this road here is called 19, flooded, and around it flooded. So again, that might play a factor into, what again, resale value is, because I mean, sure, you could buy the home, but who's going to buy it after you? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just, so that's a lot of people. That's what a lot of people are scared for. Even though, like, we were people before this hurricane, these two hurricanes, people are like, what's going to happen for the election? We don't know. But obviously, Trump's in office now, so it's we're good to keep buying homes. But again, everyone's right now, especially in Florida, everyone's like looking at the flood zone. Like, is it in a flood zone? Because if it is, then your options are kind of limited on to who is going to be willing to take the risk of buying it once it's all said and done. The husband and wife, with their 2 kids, like they might not want to buy in a flood zone anymore because they just saw what just happened to Treasure Island. They saw what happened in St. Pete Beach. They saw what happened in Shore Acres. They're not trying to be like those people who are, homeless, living in hotels.
Right.
So everyone's paying attention to that. Luckily for this deal I just did, on the 6th, it's not in the flood zone. It's flood zone X, so there's no chance that, it was a little bit more inland because like it was like somewhere in like over here, and properties to the left of that across the street were in a flood zone. So I lucked out that way. But I mean, people are still buying in flood zones, yes, but they're buying pennies on the dollar because they don't want to take any chances, because it's a gamble regardless if you flip or not. But now it's like an extreme gamble, because why would you ever want to try to buy something that's in a flood zone after seeing what just happened 2 months ago?
Yeah.
So that's the thing that we're in, and I mean, I'm assuming, I hope that you're not in a flood zone, because if you are, you might have some difficulty, like I'm having some difficulty moving. I had 2 people reach out to me for deals in after Milton, and I basically had my buyers are telling me, oh yeah, if I had those deals before the storm, they would have been great, but since they're after the storm, the whole neighborhood's got reassessed, and it's only worth pennies on the dollar because of that. They'll
Right.
still buy them, though, but that's not, again, I had so I had one in Shore Acres and I had another one in Town and Country. Town and Country is over in Tampa, that got flooded like crazy too, like as blue as this. So it's just it's tough. You can move deals, but you just got to be really properties that pretty much are assessed at land value, which is kind of annoying, but I mean, it's just the way it is. That's what if you look at the Facebook groups, that's what people are saying. If you ask buyers, that's what people are saying. It's just how it is right now currently.
And I wish the sellers and agents would understand that, but they still want their money, which is hard to
Exactly.
get them to talk to and talk sense into them. Like, hey, you can keep sitting on this house. It's 80 days and just rotting away because there's no, it's, this thing is not going to pass inspection for FHA or a regular mortgage. They
Yeah.
already know it's not going to pass inspection, but they want 240 cash for it.
Yeah, I know it's tough, and it's a no. It's and a lot of people, for a lot of people, like, who are like newer, like calling agents and stuff like that. Like, you got to understand that the agent is trying to sell you on something. They're not thinking, like, most of the time they're not really thinking as the mindset as an investor. Like when I had the deal over in Town and Country, which like I said, it's over in Tampa. Like, oh, she was saying, oh yeah, like she knows, like, oh, there will be someone who would buy this home if I end up falling through, blah blah blah. And I mean, I've canceled the agreement with her. When did I cancel? Like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I don't think anyone's ever, no investor in the right mind is gonna be wanting that property at the current number, because I had the agreement for 295. It would have been a home. I would have been able to find somebody definitely to pay a little bit more than three. Probably found somebody at 305 or 310. But because of that, everyone came back on my Florida buyers list saying they have to be like in the 220 to the 240 range. And the seller wasn't willing to do that, and the agent's like, "Why are you getting, like, because again, the only thing that was really, like, the whole neighborhood got destroyed. There was 10 inches of water in the home. Luckily, it didn't touch electrical. One of my buyers talked to the neighbors, like, oh yeah, the whole street got flooded. So it's just like, I mean, it's just how it is. But she didn't want me to cancel. I canceled anyway, and then I don't know. I mean, it's an off-market property. I mean, I don't think she will find somebody at 290 or wherever I was originally. I was at 295. I don't think she'll find anybody at that price. Anyone with a logical brain as an investor is going to be is like what I said, like around like the 220, 240 range.
Agreed.
Because again, because it went from a $55,000 rehab to like a $90,000 rehab because nothing was remediated in the home. Carpets were taken out, yes, but still, like, not like the drywall wasn't taken out. So there's mold now. You got mildew to worry about. You got to go to the studs, to remove all the drywall and everything. So it's just like, I don't know. But yeah, it's tough right now when if you guys are looking in the Tampa Bay area, because you got to really pay attention to that flood zone, because that's what you got to just follow what the buyers are doing right now. Buyers are buying in the flood zone, yes, but they're buying pennies on the dollar. If you're buying if you're trying to move a property that's not in the flood zone, then you're fine. But that's kind of what in the past month, that's what I've been seeing, month and a half. That's what I've been seeing. It's just, a weird time that we're in. Obviously no one's ever seen this happen. This hasn't been like a hurricane like this in ages. So it's just kind of, just gotta adjust,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
Any other questions, guys? Any other last minute questions while I still have you guys here? If not, you just end the Zoom because I'm a little bit over. I can't remember if Eric has a Zoom at 12:15 or not. He might, I don't know. But any other last minute questions, guys? No? All right. All right, yeah, we could end for today. My next Zoom would be on Monday from 11 to 12. Look forward to seeing you guys there. If you have any other questions prior to that, you could always reach out to me. I'll put my name in the chat here, so you could always reach out to me. A weekend is a good time to call too, guys. So, you could always hit the phone tomorrow if you're trying to call agents sometimes, or even sellers, and they're not answering the phone. Maybe you might have to try at a different time, but definitely on a Saturday, you should be reaching most sellers, if you're doing, calling anybody who is for sale by owner. But yeah, if you have any questions in the meantime, until Monday, just, shoot me a DM on Discord, and I'll look to try to answer as soon as I can and help you guys out. All right. You guys have a good rest of your Friday. Good weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday.
Thank you. Have a good day.